Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Advertising and Coffee. And this time I'm at the SB event in Detroit. It's really been quite an extraordinary event, and I was so lucky to run into Melissa Anderson from Public Good in actually one of the workshops that we were doing, and we started talking about empowerment and empowering people, and then you suddenly said, I'm doing this amazing little platform for people to participate in different courses. So maybe you could just explain a little bit about what is Public Good.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. I think the data is showing us a couple different things, and that was really clear in that session, around people's really need to act on the things that they care about. And so what our platform does, it empowers people to take action in the moment that they're inspired. And so one of the really powerful ways we're able to do this in conjunction with brands is that, let's say a brand is working on a particular cause, that brand can offer the opportunity to people to partner with them and make a difference on that cause on a local level.
Yeah.
So let's just say, as an example, as a brand, you're working on food insecurity on a national level or on a global level. You can tell the story about doing that, but in conjunction, you can invite people to take action in their local area around that issue, food insecurity. And so it really takes global issues and makes cause marketing sort of actionable.
Yeah.
And one of the additional benefits then to the brand is all the metrics that you get.
Yeah.
So you can see how many people took action, what they care about, and then what actions they took.
Yeah.
So a big part of the platform is that it's not about just volunteering or just donating, but our co-founders came out of the Obama re-election campaign, where we really learned that it's about a ladder of engagement, and that the more action people do, the more action they want to do. And so having a number of actions you can take, share, learn more.
And that can all be done through the platforms. You can have a couple of different, from the less demanding stuff to say I'm going to sign a petition to I'm going to go out and plant a tree or rally something, or
exactly like that. And it's really about that variety of actions. And people usually kind of start low with saying they care, maybe sharing or learning more, and then they ladder up to maybe spending time and volunteering or even donating or getting more meaningfully involved with a nonprofit working on the cause.
I think it's such an important thing. I think a lot of brands are just, sometimes they just do the one ask, and the thing is, you're like, I'm not in for that. I might want to sign something, I might want to do more. So I think it really kind of builds much more engagement, and also on kind of people's terms, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah, I want to support, but I can actually kind of feel what connects with me. So do you have any examples of campaigns you've done recently with a brand or a non-profit that you kind of want to share that can kind of give us an example of what the platform can do?
Sure. Yeah, a great example. Just last week, we launched a campaign. So it's on Upworthy.com.
Yeah.
And the brand in this case is State Farm. So I think if anyone turns on the TV or reads the paper, they know that State Farm is doing a really robust campaign around volunteering.
Yeah.
And so what our platform is able to do is that after you've read an article that's very emotional and moving about the value of volunteering, then at the bottom, we have an interactive chatbot that says, oh, that's great, you read this article, would you like to get involved? And they can absolutely volunteer as a way to take action, but they can also do a number of other actions like we talked about, learn more about it, understand more about what State Farm's doing. And so,
but also that integration into the article you're reading or the content you're reading, I think is quite a fascinating next step. I think everybody who's been in the digital space for some years, see the rise of ad blocker and people just getting tired of having this kind of very intrusive advertising being thrown at you, and there seems to be a solution to kind of avoid that and being much more of a dialogue, I think, from brand side anyway.
Yeah, and I think you're touching on a really important point that advertising just isn't proving to be that effective anymore.
Yeah.
But sponsored content is really a rising trend, and it's because it's the value of storytelling.
Yeah.
And so showing an ad about what you're doing or a picture is very different than telling the individual story about one particular volunteer opportunity, and you can really connect in emotionally, which then drives the consumer to want to get involved and do something. Yeah. And that's exactly what Take Action does.
Do you do anything with the film industry at all? documentary films or?
Yes, we are. We do have a partner out in LA.
Okay.
So we do have some connections through to celebrity talent.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting things there too. As we know, most celebrities will align themselves with particular nonprofits, but what we're able to do is really open that up and allow people to not only support maybe a nonprofit that celebrity is supporting, but more broadly support the celebrity's cause, and most excitingly, that cause in their community.
Yeah.
So that's really where the magic is helping people take action in their community.
Yeah.
And part of what's really important, it's like, look, people have a lot of pent-up energy and emotion about doing stuff, but it can be hard.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like we look at other technology solutions, you know, you can order off Amazon at 2 clicks of a button.
Yeah.
Public Good has made some strides in, at a couple clicks of the button, understanding what you can do meaningfully in your local area versus it being a hard thing to figure out what to do. So getting involved in a cause locally, easy and doable, and then share what people are doing back to the brand.
And I guess in terms of the, now you've been going for about 2 years, I know, and do you see obviously you do, but the engagement, when people are on the platform, do they then continue coming back to that platform? Is it like a profile you have so you can kind of keep volunteering for cases you care about, or is that like a one-time engagement typically?
Yeah, absolutely not one and done.
Okay.
So about the ladder of engagement, it's about continuing the conversation. And so it's not up to us about having a campaign, it's about starting the building of a movement and doing that alongside the brand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, listen, I hope that as we work with State Farm to get people interested in volunteerism, that's not a once-off one day, but you can continue to have the dialogue and understand that you might volunteer about one cause at one time, but volunteer about something very different later as your interests change and causes change. So really about ongoing communication. And the more someone take action under a brand, the stronger brand advocate they become. So it's all kind of a continuous circle.
Yeah, and I guess I think with all volunteering, it always starts with a little thing, and then you get more involved in a cause, and they want to do more. So I mean, that kind of circle really makes sense.
Yeah, and some of the actions as well can be not tied to a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so it may be as simple as saying, you know, I'm going to bike to work once a week. Yeah. Or I'm going to replace the light bulbs in my house. You know, as we think about.
So kind of there's a behavior change element to that's quite interesting, especially now we're at a sustainability conference. I mean, most brands at this conference would be dealing with, you know, things like that you're just mentioning. That's interesting. Yeah,
you can think about brands that do LED certification. You know, that's a really big lift. They've done a lot of work to do it. Brands can tell their story about LED certification and then invite their customers, employees, and consumers to reduce waste in their own home. You know, so people can do actions at a local level and at a personal level to reflect, you know, the overall goals of the organization, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool, Melissa, thank you so much. I mean, is there any last words that you want to kind of say to the brands, the organizations out there? I mean, this is obviously like a really interesting kind of next step in, you know, engagement platform and a new way of creating not only opportunities to volunteer, as I see it, but also really interesting kind of behavior change mechanics kind of built into it.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say that's worth touching on is that all of this is driven by groundbreaking technology that we built from the ground up. So we're able to use artificial intelligence to read content. We're able to serve up the actions and nonprofits in a local area that match individually to the reader that's reading it. And none of this would be possible without the technology. I think that what's groundbreaking is that it's not manual, so it becomes really scalable. And so I think that's really exciting that, you know, today brands, publishers, and us together in partnership can really help everybody do something about what they care about.
Great. I think that's some good last words to wrap up. So thank you so much for watching, and we're going to share the link at the bottom of the video. So thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks.